started like any other evening. We had dinner, sat on the couch, and watched our favorite show. The kind of simple, comfortable evening that had become routine for us after years of being together. There was no tension between us, no signs that something was wrong. But as we sat in silence, I noticed something in her eyes, something that didn't belong there. It wasn't fear, but it was something close. It was hesitation. Before we dive in, please subscribe. It means the world to us and helps us bring you more amazing stories. She had always been open with me. Our marriage was built on trust, on honesty. And in the past, when something was on her mind, she had never been afraid to share it. But tonight, there was a certain distance between us. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make me question everything. She cleared her throat, pulling me out of my thoughts. I looked at her, noticing her fingers nervously tapping on the edge of her wine glass. Her brow furrowed slightly like she was debating whether or not to speak. I watched her closely, my instincts screaming that something was off. "Remember my ex-fiancé?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I felt a sudden chill. The words were like a punch to the gut. Her ex-fiancé, the man she had once been engaged to, the man who had nearly become her husband before we met. I thought about him occasionally, but I had never dwelled on him. She had always spoken about him in passing, like an old story, a chapter that had long been closed. Why was she bringing him up now? What about him? I asked, keeping my voice steady, though a knot was forming in my stomach. She hesitated, then looked down at her lap, not meeting my gaze. It was like she couldn't bring herself to look me in the eye as she spoke. I felt the weight of her silence pressing in on me. I talked to him, she said softly, her words hanging in the air like a strange confession. I froze, unsure of how to react. The room seemed to grow colder, the silence between us unbearable. My mind raced, trying to process what she had just said. "You talked to him?" I repeated, trying to grasp the magnitude of her statement. She nodded, her voice shaky as she explained. "It started a few weeks ago. It was nothing, just a few texts here and there. Catching up, you know? But it turned into something more. I needed to talk to him to understand what went wrong between us." I stared at her, struggling to find my voice. This wasn't something I had expected. Not in a million years. Why now? After everything we've built, why contact him now when we have a life together? A family? Her eyes filled with a mixture of regret and shame. She bit her lip before continuing. "I didn't mean to hurt you. It wasn't like that. I wasn't looking for him. I wasn't trying to go back to him. I swear. It was just, I don't know. I guess I've been feeling lost lately." And talking to him, hearing his perspective, it made me question things about myself, about us. The room felt like it was closing in on me. I didn't know what to say. My mind couldn't make sense of what she was telling me. I had always thought our relationship was strong. We'd been together for so long through everything. And now this. She was telling me she had reached out to him, this man from her past, and it was somehow supposed to be about her, about closure. I didn't know if I could handle hearing anymore, but she wasn't done. She reached out and touched my hand, her touch trembling slightly, but I couldn't bring myself to squeeze it back. "I met him," she said quietly, almost as if she was ashamed of the words. My stomach dropped. "You met him?" I echoed, disbelief thick in my voice. "You met him after all this time?" She nodded, her eyes welling up with tears. "It was just once, just to talk. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I needed to understand. I needed to know if I was truly over him, if there was something I missed, if I was being unfair to you, carrying that old baggage around. I'm sorry. I never meant for it to go this far." I stood up abruptly, my legs shaking. The room felt smaller, like I was suffocating. "So, you met him and now you're telling me this?" My voice grew louder, more frantic. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? Why hide this from me?" Tears were streaming down her face now, but I couldn't look at her. I was too angry, too hurt. "I didn't want to hurt you. I thought it would pass. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't want you to think it meant something more than it did. It didn't mean anything. It's not like I was trying to leave you." I shook my head, trying to process everything, but the flood of emotions was overwhelming. She had been hiding this from me, lying in a way I didn't even know was possible. "Did you kiss him?" I asked, the question slipping out before I could stop it. I needed to know. I needed to understand how far this betrayal had gone. Her eyes dropped to the floor and I saw the guilt and shame spread across her face. I didn't need her to say it. Her silence was enough. "You kissed him?" I repeated, my heart aching with every syllable. "I never meant for it to happen," she sobbed, her voice breaking. "It was a mistake, but it felt like something I couldn't control. I wasn't thinking, and I regretted it the second it happened. I swear I didn't want to hurt you." I took a step back, my whole body trembling. "How could you do this to me?" I whispered, my voice full of disbelief. "How could you betray me like this? After everything we've been through?" She reached for me, her hand trembling as she tried to touch my arm, but I pulled away. I couldn't let her touch me. "Not now. Not after everything. You've hurt me," I said, my voice raw with pain. "You've broken something inside me and I don't know if I can fix it." The silence between us stretched on, thick and suffocating. She kept apologizing, her voice filled with regret, but I couldn't hear it. My mind was spiraling. I loved her. I wanted to believe that this was a mistake, but the truth was there plain as day. She had betrayed me. She had kissed another man, and worse, she had slept with him. "Did you sleep with him?" I asked, though the words were like acid in my mouth. "Tell me the truth." The tears continued to fall as she finally admitted it. I was confused. I thought it would make the questions go away. I thought it would give me peace, but it didn't. It only made things worse. "I'm so sorry." I stood there, my entire world crashing down around me. She had slept with him. She had been in his arms in the way she was supposed to be in mine. The betrayal was so deep, I didn't know how to breathe through the pain. Every memory, every moment we had shared together was tainted now. "Why?" I whispered, barely able to keep the tears at bay. "Why did you do this?" "I don't know. I was lost. I was so lost," she replied, her voice breaking with every word. "I couldn't stay there any longer. I couldn't look at her. Not like this. I need to go," I said, my voice shaking. "I can't be here right now." I walked out of the room, my heart heavy, my chest tight. The woman I loved had betrayed me in the worst possible way, and there was no going back. No amount of apologies could undo the damage. As I left the house that night, the truth hit me like a ton of bricks. The love we shared, the trust we built, it was gone. And sometimes, no matter how much you love someone, some things can't be fixed. As I walked out into the cold night, I knew I couldn't live in the shadow of her betrayal. I had to leave. I had to move on. And for the first time in my life, I understood the hardest thing in a relationship. It's not the betrayal itself, but the moment you decide to walk away from someone you once trusted with.